It is a miracle, nothing short of a miracle.
Worshippers from across New Mexico and Texas are driving to see what many believe to be an act of God. Parishioners say the tears started to fall on Sunday.
You can smell roses in her tears. I've got a tissue that I've taken, wiped on from her mantle.
Welcome back to the Boo Review. Just AJ coming at you today, and we got a quick little story that I wanted to cover coming out of Hobbs, New Mexico. You may be familiar with this. It's been developing since May the 20th, when the first incident of the Virgin Mary, Our Lady of Guadalupe, shedding the tears over the Christ baby. Let's have a look. And you see the tears stream down the face, the mother of Christ's face. Or maybe not. So, as you see right here, let's deep dive in just a little bit. Let's see what makes this story a little bit spicy. You may have to pardon me a little bit. I'm getting over a little bit of a throat thing that's going on, so my voice isn't quite as strong as I would like it to be, but so be it. We've got a story to cover. So, the tears of the statue, as everywhere is reporting, are olive oil. The tasty, delicious olive oil with the rose scent. But that I don't know that that's actually entirely accurate. Let me refer to my notes here. So the tears have the same chemical footprint of olive oil, treated with some kind of scent, which has been purported to be a rose-like scent, like chrism, but the oil is more clear, not the brownish color that is associated with olive oil. So basically, what I'm hearing right here is that it has the same footprint, chemical footprint as olive oil. They're not necessarily saying that it is olive oil. I just wanted to point that out because, I mean, I think it sounds a whole lot clickier to be like, statue streams the olive oil from the eyes. But that might not be quite accurate. So basically it's chrism, whatever that is, some sort of blessed oil, presumably I'm guessing we're using in the Catholic Church. It takes place in the Catholic Church, it makes sense, right? So what do? They call in Deacon Jim Windsor. And Jim Windsor is the Vice Chancellor of the something Catholic Diocese of Las Cruces. And I had to look up and see what a diocese is. Apparently it's a territory and you have like bishops or vice chancellors, according to my notes, that are over these dioceses, these areas of like, I don't know, Catholic population. But anyway, that's just what it is. It's a territory. So they had the guy that was the head of that territory. He came and looked at it. He was like, we don't have any reasonable explanation. We talked to the man who made the statue. That's more Italian, but whatever, let's roll with it. This is the olive oil. They talked to the man who made the statue, and he says it's impossible that the statue could leak or protrude oil from the eyes. The statue is made of bronze, and it is hollow, by the way. Just so we know, this is about to be relevant to a future point in this, because I too cannot debunk straight out the weeping statue, but I do have some information regarding past weeping statues that I think we should all consider in regards to this statue right here. So I did a little reading, a little research into how statues weep, and I found some interesting information. So apparently glazed plasters will absorb liquids, whether via natural condensation, humidity, or if there is liquid added within a cavity in the statue. That is absorbed into the plasters and then can leak through cracks in the statue. Now, we've established that it's bronze, but I don't know, and they did not establish the inner workings of the statue. It's interesting to note that this is an easy explanation for many weeping statues in the past, and something to consider with this one in regards to what makes up the inner workings of the hollow bronze statue. That if any sort of moisture could get inside, that it could seep into the plaster and then seep out through cracks. And if you see in the eyes of the statue, it could very easily be tiny little porous holes where the oil could come from. Now, You could also, since it's a chrism oil and not just simple moisture from what we can tell here, then what you do is, presumably, you could make tiny, tiny incisions or holes in the statue, fill it with just a bit of the oil, and then as it seeps in, it will seep out on the outside through the cracks in the eyes. So, and just for a fun fact right here, all those blood weeping statues you've seen, same explanation. It is actually the microbe Serratia miraculous, which exudes a bright red jelly-like pigment. That's how you get your bleeding statues. But this statue is not bleeding. This statue is weeping delicious olive oil. So, let's take a look at another example, a well-publicized example from 2004 in Brisbane, Australia. In this situation, we have a Virgin Mary statue weeping oil from its eyes, scented oil. There are also other items in the church in question, such as a crucifix that is leaking what appears to be blood, or possibly oil. I believe it was blood in the case of the crucifix. So, investigations were called in, including a chemistry professor, not simply some bishop of the Diocese of Australia, but an actual chemist was brought in. After investigating, they discovered that the oil found in the statue in Brisbane was very much like a common oil that you could purchase. They could be commercially available to people and scented. So what they determined was it's much more likely to be man-made. Some dirty fella had his hands involved. They did some deep dives in here and they found that very, very tiny holes had been drilled into the back of the statue, allowing little droplets of the oil, which, as they were absorbed back into the statue, wept out of the eyes. Very much like the statue we have in Hobbs, Mexico, in terms of the presentation of the weeping statue of Mary, or in this case, Our Lady Guadalupe. And upon looking at the facts, the Archbishop in Brisbane was very reluctant to declare any sort of miracle. I will refer to my notes with a quote from the Archbishop. Given that there is possibility that human agency could produce the phenomenon, then I must declare that what has happened cannot be said to be of supernatural origin. So there you have it. That was 2004 Brisbane, Australia. Now let's fast forward back to 2018 Hobbs, New Mexico, and the purported multiple weepings of Our Lady Guadalupe. Now, little quick note. As I was looking into this and trying to find video footage of the weeping statue, it seems like I only ever found maybe a couple of video clips, even though allegedly there is multiple times the statue has wept. I feel like more people would have taken video. There would be like a nice boom, here's the video of the statue weeping. I didn't really come across that. I came across several congregations, people taking pictures of the statue, but not a lot of good just, let's get up on the statue, let's get some video footage of it weeping. But apparently there's a lot of witnesses, so I felt like it was worth pointing out that we should have more evidence, more visual evidence of the weeping statue, but we don't, but whatever. So it is. Now let's refer back to Deacon Jim Winder, who says, "We don't believe chrism oil was taken from the church to adulterate this statue. And if it's not man, that leaves only God or Satan responsible for what's happening here today." Well, I added the what's responsible from here happening here today. The rest of it is quotes from Jim Winder. So, you're taking the very different approach, jumping to the conclusion if we can't say that it's man, then it must be God or Satan. And I think we all remember who deals in absolutes. Now, to give them back a little bit of credit, they are not declaring this a miracle yet, because it is pending further investigation before we can just call this bad boy a miracle. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't point out this statue here that you see secreting fluids as people flock to it and gather them up and wash themselves in the toilet water of a nearby building. So, I say take it all with a little bit more of a grain of salt. Don't just jump to believing whatever you see. Let's look for an explanation. as far as I know, they don't necessarily state that they have any scientists or chemists on the case in Hobbs. I do like that in Brisbane they actually got it was a retired chemistry professor, and there was a lawyer involved for, I'm guessing, their legal reasons, and some others. But getting in someone outside of the church, I feel like is important to get multiple perspectives on the situation. And if it makes people happy, whatever, but don't just, I think blind faith is dangerous. So I would prefer we get to the bottom of it. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. We have explanations for these types of phenomenon in the past, so I don't think we should take this as any sort of miraculous face value. And that's the lesson from today's video. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed. We'll have more Boo review coming for you. Hopefully my voice gets back to 100%. I can feel it going out now, so I'm gonna end this while I can still talk, and I will see you all in the next one.